SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
State Treasurer David McRae is returning record amounts of money to Mississippians, whether it's through the College and Career Savings Program or the hundreds of millions in unclaimed money awaiting your claim. Treasurer David McRae says get your applications and claims in today. Treasury.ms.gov.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man, way past 21. I want you to believe me, baby.
Good morning. Welcome aboard Tuesday morning. Today is March 3rd, 2026, alongside Lance Tolbert. I'm Richard Cross, and this is Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank. Online at communitybank.net. Community Bank, rooted in our community. Thanks for joining us today. The C Spire text line is open. That is the best way for you to connect with us. C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. C Spire is helping you stretch your tax refund and still get the devices you want. Right now, new and current customers can get 3 free devices plus 100 gigs of data for just $100. There's more to see at cspire.com. Lance, good morning.
How's it going, RC?
Good, man. Had to make a quick run up to Arlington, Tennessee last night.
Oh, yeah.
Just east of Memphis. Had lacrosse there. And it was balmy to warm when I left Oxford. Got out of the car there. Had on shorts and like a kind of a lightweight pullover. I was like, uh-oh. I'm going to be cold if I wear this. It was chilly last night.
It was chilly? Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, no,
steamy
that's what I'm saying.
Here,
I mean, it would hour and 20 minutes to the north, and it was kind of cool. Wind blowing. Folks were bundled up. And it was that quick juxtaposition that you get of, okay, it was 80, and now it's in the mid-50s with wind, and, man, there's a difference. It's almost like the variation more than the actual temperature.
Yeah, once your body kind of adjusts to during the day, man, that it drops 10, 15 degrees, gets a little cool. I get chilly quick, so I know how you feel, but, man, it was hot down here yesterday. You're peeling stuff off.
Yeah, it was warm in North Mississippi yesterday. And going to be again today as well. Tunica, you got partly cloudy skies with a high of 78 this afternoon. And winds out of the south at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Yes, the wind will be blowing if you're out at Tunica National today, just like it is all of the other 364 days of the year. Water Valley, you've got considerable clouds early this morning, a little bit of a decrease as the day goes along, 78, where you're expected to top out today with winds at 10 to 15 miles per hour. To the Pine Belt we go and pedal. Areas of patchy fog early, cloudy skies early, and then a little bit of clearing. Got some sunshine peeking through this afternoon with an 81-degree high. Winds out of the south and southeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Biloxi, going to be a little cooler in Biloxi than it is in the Pine Belt. Areas of patchy fog going to clear off just a bit. 74 degrees with 10 to 20 mile-an-hour winds out of the southeast. And your game day forecast for Hattiesburg. Actually, I'm going to give you your game night forecast. 6 o'clock first pitch tonight for the top 10 matchup between Mississippi State and Southern Mississippi. At first pitch, going to be 75 degrees and partly cloudy with a slight wind, about 7 miles per hour. As the game nears its conclusion, you will be in the upper 60s. Some might call that a glorious night for college baseball.
Gotta love it, man. It feels better. That arm feels a lot better when it's 80 degrees.
Yep. We'll talk more about that matchup coming up about half an hour from now with your morning sports update presented by Pearl River Resort. Alexander Graham Bell was born on this day in 1847. Scottish-born inventor, best known for patenting the first practical telephone and contributing to advancements in both aeronautics and hearing devices. I guess it's easy to forget how big a deal the telephone was when now we carry them in our pocket and with us everywhere we go, but the ability to communicate through the wall of your house to the wall of somebody else's house.
When you were a kid, and I don't know, I mean, did you ever do like the string and can trick? You know, you'd put somebody...
Yeah, we tried.
Yeah. You never thought about cell phones then, though. It was like, that wasn't even in the vocabulary.
It's like, can we talk from my treehouse to your treehouse? And I never really thought the string and can thing worked on.
No, it didn't. That's the thing. I mean, that felt like the best technology you had, just about, other than the real phone. But yeah, thinking about cell phones, how far we've come. Oh. I was in college when it really came out, so kind of changed everything.
Good memories. My grandmother's house growing up, there was a phone on the wall that kind of split the kitchen and the dining room, living room. And so you could either, grab it from the kitchen, kind of reach through underneath the cabinet and pull it through the wall, and it had the long cord on it, and it was the rotary phone.
Oh, fun stuff, yeah. Didn't you love like making a mistake, dialing a number?
Hang up and start over. Yeah.
That was brutal.
Yeah. Chief Joseph, born on this day in 1840. Who was Chief Joseph, you might ask? Nez Perce, Native American leader renowned for his principled resistance during the Nez Perce War and his famous surrender speech where he said, "I will fight no more forever."
I'm hanging it up.
Mm-hmm. George Cantor, the German mathematician who founded set theory and introduced concepts of infinity and transfinite numbers, revolutionizing mathematics. He had a brain that worked in a different way from that which mine works.
Mine too.
Julie Bowen, born in 1970. Played Claire Dunphy in the long-running sitcom Modern Family. George Miller was an Australian filmmaker and director, creator of the Mad Max franchise, including Fury Road and the animated Happy Feet series.
I'm a big fan of the Mad Max franchise. I don't know much about Happy Feet, but...
Yeah, nor do I.
Yeah. The original Mad Max, that's legit, man. It's so grainy and old and... not perfect, It's a great setup for what was to come as far as that series goes.
Jason Tatum, born today, 1998. Really good basketball player. Plays for the Celtics. Jessica Biel, actress, producer. Camila Cabello, or Cabello if you prefer. The Cuban-American singer and songwriter. Former member of Fifth Harmony, turned into a solo star. You remember. Havana, ooh, na, na. I left my heart back in. Yeah, I'm not singing it, or clearly any more than that. Sang Havana and Senorita.
Okay.
Oh, you know these. I promise if you look them up, you do.
Oh, I'll hit I'm waiting, though. I've got.
I love it when you call me Senorita. Anyway. I'm not even going to check the C-Spire text line. Somebody's like, don't sing on the radio. Yeah, I know. I'm with you. Jean Harlow, born on this day in 1911, the American actress and iconic Hollywood sex symbol of the 1930s, simply known as the Blonde Bombshell in films like Hell's Angels and Dinner at 8. And finally, giving Lance all kinds of music options. Tone Loc, born on this day in 1966, the rapper and actor famous for his 1989 hits Wild Thing and Funky Cold Medina, one of the first rap songs to achieve massive mainstream success. Doesn't even sound like rap.
No, it's not. It's like early rap, almost beatboxing. Remember the Fat Boys?
Oh, yeah.
Those guys were awesome.
Yeah. When the Fat Boys did the remake of Wipeout with the Beach Boys.
And then they were the orderlies, and I can't remember what movie it was.
Yes.
But that was hilarious, too.
Yes. I remember it.
That was to me, that was the golden era of rap. And look, I understand, and everything changes, everything adapts, everything moves forward. But man, that was the golden era. Mm-hmm. It was funny, I mean, there was a lot of funny to it.
Some things that happened on this day. In 1776, during the American Revolutionary War, the first amphibious landing by the United States Marine Corps took place in the Battle of Nassau in the Bahamas, where Marines raided a British fort for gunpowder, marking the Corps' inaugural combat action. Wonder how many of those Marines that made that invasion in 1776 had ever seen water quite like that in Nassau. Man,
yeah,
this is too beautiful.
Like we're
too
invading
clear
something?
for us
We're
to fight in. What are we doing here? Let's live here.
No wonder the pirates are here.
1791, the United States Mint was established by an act of Congress, creating the foundation for America's official coin production and monetary system. We're back with you after this. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi.
Stop playing cards and shooting dice. He's in the jailhouse now.
From the Venable Glass.
Want to know what's happening in Mississippi politics?
Yes.
You're in the right place. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Now we have coming to the party to rock your pie. A space provided by the public eye. 'Cause you waited and finally we've returned where the funky beat. Let go off the spine, value your brain, relax your body, ease any pain. 'Cause we're hearing gold and
Back with you on Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. I mentioned the C Spire text line is open. It is 601-879-4395. Grandmother had a party line. Memories. Talking about the phone situation. Lance, I recommended Firefly to you last week. If you watch it, make sure you watch the movie also.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. I took the note on that. I just hadn't gotten to it yet, but Firefly is on the list.
Did you see the blood moon this morning?
Well, there was yesterday it was, and then driving over the reservoir today, it looked like there was some type of maybe a eclipse going on. I'm not sure, because the moon was just not there where it normally is. Yes.
Okay.
And it was pretty clear. I didn't see it though. It was dark too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I hit the eclipse.
All right. Total eclipse of the moon.
I think so. But yeah, yesterday morning it was beautifully, that reddish tint, but mostly orange. So I didn't get to see the blood red moon today. But somebody did. I want to see a picture if somebody's gotten one.
Yeah, tell it. Put it on us, please. 601-879-4395, the C Spire text line. 1861, Russian Emperor Alexander II issued the Emancipation Manifesto, freeing millions of serfs across the empire and granting them civil rights, a major reform that ended surgery. Take a breath, Richard. That ended centuries of serfdom. 1913, you had thousands of women who marched in the women's suffrage procession in D.C. That was the day before Woodrow Wilson's inauguration. Marchers faced violent attacks from onlookers while police largely just stood by, highlighting the struggle for women's voting rights. Today in 1931, the United States Congress officially adopted the Star-Spangled Banner with lyrics by Francis Scott Key as the national anthem, formalizing a patriotic symbol used since the War of 1812. Did you realize that our national anthem is not yet 100 years old?
I did not know that.
in terms of officially being the national anthem.
Yeah, I mean, we're a young country, honestly.
We are celebrating our 250th birthday this year, in case you haven't heard.
That's right.
And it is being celebrated the way birthdays are celebrated for teenage girls and some moms. It is not a one-day thing.
Nothing wrong with that. 250
That's right.
only comes around once, right?
That is absolutely correct. Today, March 3rd, 1938, major oil reserves were discovered in Saudi Arabia at the Dammam No. 7 well, the Prosperity Well, transforming the kingdom's economy and reshaping global energy politics in the decades that followed.
That J. Paul Getty, right? Wasn't he the guy that got all that done?
That's right. I don't know that I knew that it was that one, but Getty and his exploration in Saudi Arabia led to quite the fortune.
Yeah, you could say that again for the Getty family and for the royal family.
Yeah, it was good for many. In 1991, motorist Rodney King severely beaten by Los Angeles police officers after a high-speed chase. The incident captured on video by a bystander, leading to widespread outrage. The acquittal of those officers in 1992 and massive Los Angeles riots that exposed deep racial tensions in policing. That was 1991.
Yeah, I was a 10th grader. It's a long time ago.
Yeah. Finally, in 2005, the American adventurer Steve Fawcett completed listen to this.
No, it's crazy.
Completed the first solo, nonstop circumnavigation of the globe without refueling his aircraft Global Flyer, covering over 22,600 miles in about 67 hours, a landmark in aviation endurance.
The only thing that I know that's more impressive than that is, Hakeem Jeffries' filibuster, But, I mean, can you put those two in the plane? Hakeem Jeffries on the filibuster, Steve Fawcett. I mean, 67 hours without a break, though. I mean, that's amazing. In an airplane, which is not like, you don't get to go for a walk. I mean, you're pretty much flying, right, the whole time? So,
yeah. It was sponsored by Richard Branson's group.
Ah, yeah. Plenty of money. Hey, on this day, Roger Bannister, you remember what he did, right? Back in the day when athletes had law degrees and went to work and stuff.
Bannister was 4 Minute Mile, right?
There you go. He passed away on this day in 2018 at 88. Always been impressed with that feat, though, the 4 Minute Mile. Can you imagine all the runners once he did it? They're like, oh, man, now we've got to do this. We've got to run a 4 Minute Mile. Oh, goodness. Training had to pick up a lot, and I'm sure the sport became much more of a professional sport after something like that, because that was like the sound barrier, right? Like,
yeah.
People thought you couldn't do that. You'll die if you do that.
All right, so it's not like Fawcett had a lot of room to move around in this deal. It was made for aerodynamics. I mean, he's strapped in almost like he's driving a race car.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, he couldn't get up moving around. I mean, the guy's cinched it down for 67 hours.
67 hours. I mean, are we assuming that there was some nap time in there?
I mean, maybe some, quick shut-eye, and then you feel a little turbulence. Whoa, what was that?
We're getting up to a spot where we can put it on autopilot and just kind of cruise for the next 3 or 4 hours?
That's impressive.
How are we getting to some food? I mean, there are obviously questions about, nature's call. Ooh.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, all right. Time for your news headlines. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you right now, we will be back here at 7:06 to talk more about this. A bill allowing student athletes to strike name, image, and likeness deals without having to pay state income taxes on the money that they receive has cleared a major legislative hurdle right here in Mississippi. House Bill 4014, passed 76-32 in its originating chamber with support and dissent from both Democrats and Republicans alike. The legislation, authored by Representative Jonathan McMillan, would revise existing state law to allow student athletes at Mississippi's colleges and universities to acquire NIL compensation without being taxed on it at the state level. The move follows similar legislation passed in Arkansas, or at least in the process of being passed in Arkansas. States like Florida, Tennessee, and Texas, who don't have an state income tax, and therefore, at least in theory, giving them a competitive advantage in recruiting. So the bill would give an exemption to college athletes receiving money for NIL in terms of paying state income taxes. I'm going to go just the news for right now. We're going to come back to this at 7:05 and we'll talk about it. There is reasonable rationale on it. There is also, I would assume, pretty significant dissent. What in the world is going on in Iran right now? The biggest news, I think, of this morning is the United States Embassy has been targeted and hit in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. China is pressuring Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. There's one account online that says the interesting thing is Iran didn't really close the Strait of Hormuz. The insurance companies did. The insurance companies that offer wartime insurance to large boats full of oil have canceled policies left and right. I don't know enough about the insurance industry. I recognize that. I'm curious how that works. Hey, friend, I need to buy an insurance policy. Sure, let me sell it to you. It's going to be $1 million. Okay, cool. And that's for coverage in the event that something goes poorly, right? That's exactly what it's for. All right. I pay you my $1 million, and then things go poorly, and you're like, actually, we're not going to insure you. Never mind. Sorry. Bye. We're out. Feels like quite the business to be in. We're back with you after this.
Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Welcome to the show.
Good to be with you. If you want to join us this morning on the C Spire text line, you may do this. 601-879-4395. Varying messages when it comes to the stockpile of munitions for the United States. Multiple reports online giving what they at least believe are accurate inventories of defense munitions, Tomahawk missiles, other attack missiles, drone capabilities, etc. The message from the White House, the United States munitions stockpiles have at the medium and upper medium grade never been higher or better. As was stated to me today, we have a virtually unlimited supply of these weapons. Wars can be fought forever and very successfully using just these supplies, which are better than other countries' finest arms. At the highest end, we have a good supply. but are not where we want to be. Much additional high-grade weaponry is stored for us in outlying countries. Sleepy Joe Biden spent all of his time and our country's money giving everything to P.T. Barnum. Zelensky of Ukraine, hundreds of billions of dollars worth, and while he gave so much of the super high-end away for free, he didn't bother to replace it. Fortunately, I rebuilt the military in my first term and continue to do so. The United States is stocked and ready to win big. Thank you for your attention to this matter. This strikes me and I will admit I have virtually zero knowledge about United States munitions stockpiles. None whatsoever. And so when this could not be more of an opinion, but it's an opinion based on the way Trump speaks and the way Trump uses grandiose language. So I'm using context clues, not anything that I actually know. But this strikes me, using those context clues, as one of those statements from Donald Trump that, man, the truth is buried somewhere in there. And it's not nearly as good as he proclaims, but it is not nearly as bad as some others are proclaiming. Can we fight an unlimited war virtually forever? I guess it depends on what scale you're talking about. Is it likely that we have a significant supply of medium and upper medium grade weapons? It is. Are our high-end premium weapons degraded? Maybe more so than he is willing to admit. That actually feels pretty likely, given not only what we have supplied to Ukraine, but also what we have supplied to Israel within the last year. And is there truth to the Biden-Zelensky, so much of it given without any form of payment and not restocked? Would it surprise you in the least if Joe Biden gifted lots of weaponry to Ukraine and didn't bother to replace it? Absolutely not. But again, those are observations that I make based on kind of the way Donald Trump talks and has talked to us, not based on real knowledge of what our weapon stockpile looks like. How did that statement hit you, Lance?
I mean, the fog of war, yeah, I don't know. Stockpiles. I mean, when you start talking about weapons, they're extremely expensive. It seems to me that all the help you've given Ukraine and all that has to have had a major impact.
Yeah.
And then, but you also look at the research done, and it's amazing the adaptation that has happened with drone technology and the ability to produce them at a relatively low cost versus manned aircraft.
High speed and low cost, about a $30,000 to $50,000 endeavor.
So it's really interesting to me to see where we go from here. I mean, if we are running into stockpile shortages and those things, how do you adjust your armaments to fit maybe the need of what is coming rather than what we're fighting now? And I think Ukraine has been a very good litmus test in that to see. Yeah. So we'll see. But, it's never good to hear that, munitions are tight.
And despite the effectiveness of drones, our Tomahawks are still some bad boys.
Man, you don't want to see one of those coming at you.
It's time for your morning sports update brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Online at pearlriverresort.com, your home for family fun, casino thrills, and live entertainment. Visit them in person or online at pearlriverresort.com. The Belhaven men's basketball team is heading to the NCAA Division III tournament for the first time in program history. They are 16-12 and captured their first Collegiate Conference of the South championship on Sunday, beating LaGrange 92-73. In the final game of the conference tournament, landed Belhaven the lone automatic bid to the D3 Big Dance. Junior guard C.J. Minton led the way, 18 points, 4 made threes, 6 of 6 from the free throw line. He was named the CCS tournament MVP, averaged a little better than 21 points and shot 57% from behind the arc during the 3 conference tournament game wins for Belhaven. So congrats. That's really cool. Really, really cool. Tonight's midweek battle between Mississippi State and Southern Miss will be a top 10 matchup, according to the latest rankings from D1 Baseball. Golden Eagles cracked the top 10 for the first time this year. After a second consecutive weekend sweep, the team landed at number 10 in the poll. It was a good week for Southern Miss. They run-ruled Alabama last Tuesday night and then made their way west to Ruston and outscored the Bulldogs of Louisiana Tech 25-5 over the 3 games, including notching the 100th career win for Christian Ostrander, making him the fastest to 100 wins in Southern Miss baseball history. Mississippi State, meanwhile, at 11-1, has a chance, or had a chance, to potentially climb to the number 1 spot in the country, but they lost an extra innings on Sunday to current number 1 UCLA. Brian O'Connor's club proved solid Friday and Saturday with wins over Arizona State and Virginia Tech before that 1-run loss. Mississippi State off to its best start in 2015. They maintained their number 4 ranking. And what a game we've got tonight. First pitch, 6 o'clock. Game on ESPN+. Game also on many of these SuperTalk Mississippi radio stations. Pre-game show beginning at 5:30. The Dogs and the Eagles.
Must be a good one there. Wow.
Man, what is that scene going to be like tonight at Pete Taylor Park?
It was always such a great place to play, too. And as Southern Miss's program continued to just get better and better, the crowds got bigger and bigger, the stadium got better, and then the Roost started really, showing up. I always loved playing down there. And Duty Noble, too. It's kind of hard to beat that place. And when you're talking about on the road, I obviously love being at Ole Miss and playing at home now. Mm-hmm. It wasn't anything like being in Duty Noble during those times. But Pete Taylor is going to be crazy. And it's kind of a launching pad, too. You may see some bombs in there tonight.
Yeah, ball jumps there.
Yes.
Ball jumps. A rare Monday night SEC baseball game. It was played in Baton Rouge last night. Only problem? Apparently LSU didn't know there was a game. Northeastern rolls into Alex Box Stadium. They jumped out to a 10-0 lead. 10-0. It was 13-2 going to the bottom of the 7th inning. LSU tried to make a game of it late. They scored 3 runs in the 7th, 2 in the 8th, and 3 more in the 9th, but that was 3 too few to keep the game going. Northeastern wins 13-10 last night over number 2 ranked LSU. A couple of midweek losses like that for LSU already in this young season. Ole Miss in action tonight, hosting the Memphis Tigers at 6:30. That is at Swayze Field, a game that'll be on the SEC Network Plus, streaming, and on many of these SuperTalk stations. We also got basketball tonight in the SEC. Bulldogs in action. Mississippi State on the road against number 5 Florida. Ooh. Ole Miss hosting Vanderbilt. We're back after this.
From the Venable Glass.
Find out what's happening across your state. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Mississippi Lottery Update brought to you by the Mississippi Lottery, online at mslottery.com. Be sure to check out the Mississippi Lottery app. It is free and available for download from Google Play and the App Store. We have a jackpot winner in Powerball, a ticket purchased in Arkansas. Is that back-to-back big jackpots for Arkansas?
I thought it was, yeah. I thought there was another one, right?
Matched all 5 white balls and the Powerball to win an estimated $249 million jackpot with an estimated cash value of $117.2 million. The estimated jackpot for Wednesday, a measly $20 million. With an estimated cash value of 9.4. I'm pretty sure that's back-to-back jackpots coming out of the state of Arkansas, which tells me we're getting close.
We have to be.
It's going to happen. The numbers were 2, 17, 18, 38, 62. The Powerball was 20. The multiplier was 2. So congrats to that Arkansan. Tonight, big drawing coming. Mega Millions. Maybe a Mississippian can win this and can scoff at the Arkansas winner. Oh, your $117 million. I'll see that and raise you my $221.8 million. That's the estimated cash value on tonight's $473 million Mega Millions jackpot. No winner yet in Millionaire for Life. That $5 scratch-off would fetch you $1 million each year for the rest of your life.
Just to clarify, yes, December 24th, 2025, $1.817 billion. An Arkansas resident won the second largest Powerball in U.S. history, opting for the $834.9 million cash payout.
Good call. Tune into the Mississippi Lottery's Facebook Live broadcast at 10 this morning to see the 4 winning cities from our latest bonus promotion for the Three Stooges Scratch-Off. 4 lucky cities, big cash prizes. Join in this morning at 10 on Facebook and see if your hometown makes the list. That's your Mississippi Lottery update, mslottery.com. Are you in a neighborhood with a homeowners association?
So much fun.
Some of you are, some of you are not. Those of you who are not, congratulations. I'm not saying that all homeowners associations are bad. I'm sure some of them genuinely have the best interest of the neighborhood at heart, but some of them, it is for power-hungry people who have no other way to seek power or obtain power in their lives, and therefore they run homeowners associations to be thorns in your side and to make sure that the grass gets cut in the common areas. Well, a Las Vegas condo homeowners association has taken it one step farther. They are fining residents $100 per week if their garage is used for storage rather than for parking a vehicle. Let me say that again. If you store stuff in your garage in this condo complex in Las Vegas, you will be fined $100 a week. Well, Richard, just keep the garage door down. Nobody will know. Au contraire, they are demanding photographic proof of clutter garages to avoid the fine.
Sounds like somebody owns some, storage facilities. Yeah.
Can you imagine your property that you're paying rent on, or maybe you even own it, and they're saying, well, you can't keep boxes. I'm looking at a picture. You can't keep those old vintage slot machines and that poker table in your garage. Nope, that's clutter. How do you define clutter also? I mean, anything other than a car?
I mean, that's definitely a definition you'd need some clarity on, right?
You would think. You would think.
Time for impeachment of that HOA. Yeah. HOAs are a trip, though, man. I've never talked to anybody that's ever actually been like the president of one that said it was a great experience. Ever. Most of the people on the board are like, yeah, I'm never doing this again. Ever.
Yeah. If you find yourself in a neighborhood without an HOA, good for you. Even better if you have a large piece of land where you make the rules. Good to be with you. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi. 7 o'clock hour is on the way. We're back with you right after this.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
From the White House to your hometown, this is where you find out what's happening. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Swing.
Good morning to you. Welcome to the 7 o'clock hour of Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you being part of the conversation. MRC is presented by Community Bank. At Community Bank, we're more than just a place to manage your money. We're your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors. For decades, we've been rooted in our community, helping families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams, whether it's opening your first savings account, planning for a brighter future, or growing your business. We're here every step of the way. We're dedicated to our customers, committed to your success, and always here when you need us. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC. The C Spire text line is open to you this morning. The number for you to join the conversation, 601-879-4395. 601-879-4395. This hour of the show brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business is tough, and if you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, you're not alone. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They can provide a custom, full-range plan that benefits you, that fits you. Call them today, 601-206-7966, or go to mwgemployerservices.com. A bill allowing student athletes to strike name, image, and likeness deals without having to pay state income taxes on the money that they receive has cleared a major legislative hurdle in Mississippi. House Bill 4014, introduced on February 19th, handed off to the House Ways and Means Committee with a due pass decision on February 24th. On February 25th, it was brought up in the House for discussion at 10:54 a.m., and it passed with a vote of 76 to 32. Support on both sides of the aisle, dissent on both sides of the aisle. It has since been handed off to the Mississippi Senate. It is yet to be referred by the Lieutenant Governor to a committee. There is an expectation that this will go to the Finance Committee within the Mississippi Senate. Jonathan McMillan was the author of the legislation. It would revise existing state laws to allow NIL compensation to avoid state income tax. The bill is quite simple in its structure. It reads, an act to amend Section 27-7-15 Mississippi Code of 1972 to revise the definition of the term gross income under the state income tax law to exclude NIL compensation and for related purposes. Trey Lamar is chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. He said NIL is something that has taken the country kind of by storm in the college sports arena over the last few years. There are other states doing it. I believe Mississippi needs to remain competitive in that arena. We've made a policy decision over the last 10 years, which finalized last year, in exempting all income tax. So, what are we talking about here? Talking about college athletes who are paid to play sports through the, over the last 4 or 5 years, allowance of compensation through name, image, and likeness. NIL budgets have skyrocketed in recent years. We have seen very public court hearings that didn't necessarily center around NIL, but it was certainly part of the defense, certainly part of the opportunity for student athletes to earn money. And rumors of massive seven-figure deals for a single year of service to a college sports program have been approved, and they've been talked about all over the place. So let's take this in three parts. What's the purpose of the legislation? What are the optics of this legislation? And what is the outcome going to be? Feels like a good Southern preacher right there. We've got 3 points. First of all, the purpose. This is about leveling the playing field for the state of Mississippi. In the Southeastern Conference footprint, you have 3 states that have no state income tax: Texas, Tennessee, and Florida. No state income tax, so the money that you earn, income, is not taxed by the states of Texas, Tennessee, or Florida. Arkansas, just last year, also passed an NIL tax exemption, state tax exemption. We also know that Mississippi is on a slow march to the elimination of the state income tax. What was a 5% threshold not too terribly long ago is now at 4%, and it is going to move down incrementally over the next dozen years until it is phased out completely at zero. And so a decade from now, none of us will pay state income tax. But right now, we do. And so this is about leveling the playing field. It's about being competitive, and it's about a commitment to winning. What about the optics? There are some people that say, you're marching toward no income tax anyway. This is really not that big of a deal. There are some that say, I hate this, but man, I love winning in football, and so I am willing to kind of grin and bear it, to look the other way, to hold my nose and just get through it. And then there are others that go, hold on a second. The average the average income in Mississippi is around $50,000. And if you're a teacher that makes $50,000, you pay state income tax. If you're a firefighter that makes $50,000 a year or more or less, you pay state income tax. If you are a radio host in Mississippi, you pay state income tax. If you're an attorney in Mississippi, you pay state income tax. The money that you make is taxed by the state. And so the optics of it for some are not great. Hold on a second. We've got 18 to 22-year-olds that are signing compensation deals, NIL deals, for somewhere between $50,000 and $5 million. They're already on scholarship. They already have the majority of their expenses paid, and now they don't have to pay state income tax? Why? They're just playing a game. What about the outcome? Well, what do you believe the Senate's going to do? Has yet to be referred to a Senate committee told you a second ago, my expectation is that this will go to the Senate Finance Committee. My gut feeling is that it probably won't get to committee, but we'll see. All right, C-Spire text line. Rich in Biloxi, NIL money should not be exempt from the state taxes. If I have to pay it, they should pay it too. Absolutely not. They are already getting a free education, room and board, and no telling what else. The House seems to have no problem cutting everyone's taxes but the basic taxpayers. The House Republicans are spending like Democrats. And as you just said, it's going to take a dozen years for the state income tax to be phased out. Bubba in Starkville, has the lieutenant governor said that he is for it or against it? I reached out to the lieutenant governor's office to see if there was a position, and there's not at this point, other than it will be referred to committee. If you're a teenager working a job, you pay state income tax. Why are athletes different than other kids? Well, the answer to that is those athletes are generating a significant amount of revenue for the state of Mississippi, for their local communities. And I guess you could argue that the offset, and let's be real, the income tax revenue derived for the state of Mississippi from this small number of student athletes is not much money. At least not in the grand scheme of the state of Mississippi budget. So we're not talking about a lot of money. We're not talking about a lot of people. And if that's the case, maybe it does make sense to give Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Southern Miss, perhaps an advantage over some of their peers. So college athletes get special privileges over the rest of the working community? Yes. But that's not exactly new news. Rusty says, we are talking about the most ridiculous thing our legislature has ever done. Ooh, Rusty. That might be a little hyperbolic. We're back after this.
From the Venable.
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
So good in my hood tonight. The summertime skirts and the guys ain't canine. All the gangbangers forgot about the drive-by. You gotta get your groove on before you go get paid. So tip up your cup and throw your hands up and let me hit a party. Say, I'm kind of buzzed and it's all because this is my...
You got it locked in. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm and SuperTalk TV. We're talking about House Bill 4014, which would exempt college athletes from paying state income taxes on their NIL earnings. At least for most of you, you seem not terribly interested in this idea. Cece in Senatobia says hardcore college football fans will support this. Everybody else will spit on it. Rusty says let the donors who pay the NIL pay the taxes as well. I would say that in some cases that conversation has been had and that amount of money has already been baked into the deal. So I said maybe there are just a lot of football fans in the House, huh? Thomas says eliminate all of our income taxes this year and this becomes a non-issue. If they can't eliminate them all, then no special treatment for the special ones. I did talk to some of the people that were involved in this bill. I'm like, hey, give me the rundown here. What are we talking about? Why is this important? And I don't think there's any question. In fact, I know without a doubt there is no question that successful college athletics, and specifically successful college football teams, drive revenue for universities, for cities, and ultimately for states. We talked some last year about the economic impact on the city of Oxford for the run that Ole Miss football had a year ago. Full stadium, concession sales, obviously those are things that are help the university. But you are filling up hotel rooms, people are eating in your restaurants, people are spending money in retail establishments, and the economic impact was in the hundreds of millions of dollars for the city of Oxford a year ago. In fact, if I remember correctly, it was around $500 million. Now, that's not $500 million to Oxford. That's $500 million in money spent in Oxford on which taxes are collected. And if you're looking at it from that standpoint, because some of those taxes do make their way to the state's coffers also, then yeah, maybe you can say this is a big-time net gain. Because if you take the payrolls for Ole Miss and Mississippi State and Southern Miss across all of their athletics programs, and you look at a 4% tax on all of those earnings, you're not talking about a massive amount of income at all. And you're also talking about a competitive edge. The optics for the state of Mississippi of successful programs is a net positive. And that's whether you're an Ole Miss fan or a Mississippi State fan or a Southern Miss fan. So I think you could argue that it really doesn't cost you much. The overall gain in this is a positive one. You have surrounding states that are already either no state income tax states or passing laws that will make this good for them in terms of recruiting. And college athletics is copycat, right? If you see something that works at one place, other schools in other states just race to try and do it as quickly as they can also. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's just how it works. Richard, like you said, it's not that much, so let them be. It doesn't bother me. There's a lot more to worry about than NIL tax exemption. Jerry says grown-ups have to deal with grown-up stuff. Put your big boy pants on and pay your taxes. Professional sports teams drive revenue, and those players still have to pay taxes. Bubba in Starkville says this is a trap for Delbert. He will not support it. Bubba also says, Lance, Richard won't say Delbert the Democrat when he reads my text. Gerard says it every time, just saying. Yeah, I don't say it because I think it's disrespectful. I'm not mad at you, Bubba, for saying it. I just kind of self-edit when I do that. In the same way that I don't refer to the governor as tater tot when people text that in, or any other derogatory names that people call our elected officials. I don't know. If that's silly, sorry. Plus, if I'm being honest, the whole Delbert the Democrat thing doesn't really make sense to me. Maybe there are positions that he has taken along the way that you think call him or give a reason to give him that name, but he's been pretty fiscally conservative, which is kind of a tenet of Republicans and conservatism more than it is Democrats, at least historically. Mike in Oxford says, I'm a hardcore Ole Miss fan, and this is the most asinine thing I've ever heard. Julian Walnut, I tend to agree with Thomas on this one. If they don't have to pay state income tax, do away with the state income tax for those of us who actually work to make a living. NIL should be taxed as unearned income, just like commissions and bonuses for the working class, which sometimes is a higher tax rate than regular W-2 income, isn't it? Did we get any closer to phasing out the income tax this year? Have we gotten a status update? Yeah, it's at 4% this year. And it will move down, if I remember correctly, 0.3% for the next 11 or 12 years until we end up at zero, assuming that state revenues can support that. I think it sends a terrible message that college athletes don't have to pay personal income taxes on those earnings. There's already a sense of entitlement. I'm a huge college football fan, but I think they should have to pay. A couple of you agreeing with me not to call elected officials names. Adding and subtracting, let's see here. I bet they get prosecuted for not paying taxes soon after college is over. Adding and subtracting and not taught in basket weaving classes. That's from Hogman. People who call Delbert a Democrat are usually more populist than conservative. You know, one of the things about professional athletes, somebody brought that up a second ago, not only do they pay state income tax in the state in which they compete, they have to pay state income taxes in the states in which they travel to compete. And there are some cities that impose a jock tax on top of income tax, saying that you have to pay more for playing in our city. There's some California cities that do that. I think Philadelphia does that. I think New York may do that. I can't remember for sure on New York. In a state of decay, entertainers are treated as privileged class. That is from John on the C Spire text line. Joey says, how come it's some get to not pay taxes and some have to pay tax if you owe it? Candidly, I think this bill has a tall hill to climb to even make it to the floor in the Senate. If it does, I don't know how that vote would come out ultimately. I have my suspicions that it wouldn't pass on the floor, but it might. I don't know. I'm just not convinced that it makes it out of whatever committee it's assigned to. I anticipate, again, that it will go to the Finance Committee. John on the C Spire text line says it will pass. Jim and Ripley, people need to quit getting all torn up about what other people do or get. Just live your own life and be happy. I mean, I think there's some wisdom to that, Jim. But I do think being engaged with what lawmakers are looking at is reasonable. I saw somebody say, does this mean that people who are private contractors are going to figure out a way to classify their income tax as NIL? Let's see, is the bill specific enough that it says college? It just says, revise the definition of the term gross income under the state income tax law to exclude NIL compensation. Stacey Hobgood-Wilkes from the House of Representatives will join us next. This segment of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Good morning, everybody. Time to wake up.
Time to shine!
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Just one additional note to the conversation about the NIL tax-exempt bill in Mississippi. If you're curious what income taxes are being paid, NIL compensation is 1099 compensation. It is not W-2 compensation. Therefore, it is subject to self-employment tax at the federal level and income tax at the state level. So you're talking about 15.3% for FICA, which is a combination of Social Security and Medicare. And then if you hit that top tax level, 37% at the federal level on top of that. So the 4.4% at Mississippi is a small number in the grand scheme of that conversation. All right, first guest this morning, Stacey Hobgood-Wilkes joins us. She represents District 108 in the Mississippi House of Representatives. That is Pearl River County. She's vice chair of the House Constitution Committee. Representative, good morning. Thanks for coming in.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Since it's what we were talking about, I'm curious your thoughts on this bill that we were talking about just a second ago, House Bill 4014, which was the state income tax exemption for NIL compensation for college athletes. How did that debate go?
Well, I believe that one was kind of a mixed bag. I voted no because I just feel like, and like you said, the 4% or whatever it is small in the big scheme of things. However, we all work hard for our money. Athletes make big money. Why are they more special, than anyone else? So yeah. I just I didn't like the whole name and likeness thing anyway. I think it's harmed sports to an extent in some ways. I understand it and understand when the nation's doing it and you have to do it to keep up. I do understand that, but I did vote no on that. Okay. Just curious. Was it contentious, or was that one of those bills that just kind of came across, got to a vote pretty quickly, and then move on? I think I'm trying to remember back. I'm sorry, we have so many, and when you get close to deadline day, there were so many. But I don't think it was really contentious. I think there were some questions on it, but I don't think it was. If I'm remembering correctly, I don't think it was anything that we stayed on for a super long time.
One of the things that we talked about last week and the week before a fair amount was the issue with ABC in Mississippi, the alcohol beverage control, the warehouse issues, getting product to retailers across the state, whether you're talking about package stores, restaurants, hotels, casinos, the backlog that exists there. And I'm kind of curious if there's any light that you can shed on that issue. Are there further conversations that are happening with regard to how to fix that mess?
Absolutely. My county is actually dry, but I guess I have a reputation across the state for helping people, which I'm proud of that. So I probably had 5 to 7 liquor stores reach out to me across the state and ask me for help. And so I've been in contact with Commissioner Chris Graham a lot. And also I sat in the hearing that State Affairs had. And there are lots of good conversations and lots of good ideas. And these talks are continuing because this is affecting people's livelihoods. And we've got to get this fixed. And one of the things that I'm hearing a whole lot is everyone is blaming ABC. And yes, the buck stops with ABC with Chris Graham. However, that is the portion, the warehouse that we did hire out to a private contractor. Yeah. So, but my biggest concerns, there were several, but my biggest concerns were some of these bigger stores were getting shipments 2 or 3 times a week, and your smaller ones weren't getting anything. So, according to the commissioner, the law states first in, first out, meaning the first orders they received are the first ones they process, which I understand that's how it should be, not to show favoritism. But when they order so much, they're constantly getting shipments and the others aren't. So I suggested that we suspend that during this time to make sure everyone gets something. There's a bigger store in Tupelo, and the gentleman did not like what I had to say and felt like his orders shouldn't be affected, and he could distribute stuff to other stores and helped other competitors, around him, that they helped each other, but he also had a markup for them. So they shouldn't have to source their liquor through him and pay a markup above ABC to get their liquor. We have talked about spots for will call, which, it's really tight at the warehouse right now. So we're looking, there's talks about locations. There's talks about all kind of things. We even talked about maybe processing, having the orders go for the next couple of weeks. And then after that, people are placing new orders and just canceling out the other logs because they're, 30, 45 days behind anyway. And I think they were like 200,000 cases behind. Right. But they're working 6 days a week, almost 24 hours a day, trying to get caught up.
To me, the larger issue is, why is the state in this business? And I know there's a third-party contractor that administers it, but why is this not something that has been privatized for a company? Have them pay a fee to be able to run that, make sure that you're made whole in the revenue that was coming in, and then turn this over to a logistics and a distribution company that this is what they do.
Well, that has been a talk since I came in 2017, and we've had talks about that, and nothing could ever be decided. So we did have to go ahead and decide to put money in a new warehouse, because if we're in the business, we've got to be able to get business done. So we do have a new warehouse coming. It's going to be a lot larger, a lot bigger space. I'm with you. I think we need to, do something, whether we privatize it or whatever we're going to do. We have to fix these issues and get it moving. But no one ever could come to an agreement on that, and that's why only part of it was privatized. But those discussions have been going since I've been here, and I know probably a lot longer than that.
And if I remember correctly, in the early 2020s, 2020, 21, 22, the House did vote to privatize this, but it did not make it out of the Senate on the privatized side. Does that sound right?
That's correct.
Okay. Stacey Hobgood-Wilkes is my guest. She represents Pearl River County, District 108. The school choice conversation is one that has cooled off a little bit. It's really interesting to me how that dominated the early part of the legislative session, and it feels like it has lingered. House Bill 2 killed in the Senate, a bunch of individual bills that had much of the content of House Bill 2 came in the form of individual bills from the Senate over to the House side. Where are we in some of these bills that are pending?
They're just going through the process. Today is deadline day, so whatever doesn't come out of committee today will be dead, supposedly. Of course, there's always places you can, stick things back in. So
right. We'll
just have to see what happens at the end of the day, where it goes. So, but you're right, it has just kind of lingered.
Yeah, I guess what I'm curious about is this big piece of legislation that obviously the Speaker championed. I think the governor's been behind it as well from the outset. If you can take pieces of that, maybe even a bunch of pieces of that, and enact it in law, even in smaller bills, is it not better to do that than to say, okay, we didn't get everything, so nothing's going to get passed?
Absolutely it is, and I think I prefer the smaller bills. I don't think you should put things together that really don't even go together. So this big ominous bill, I don't believe was the way to go, and a lot of other people felt that way. But there are standalone teacher pay raises. There's fixes for PERS out there. There's bills that do that. So there's individual bills that we can take care of all of this. And I think because the bill was so big and had so much in it, was a big problem in itself.
Do you anticipate those individual bills with some of those things that you mentioned making it out of committee and to the floor?
I do. We have to fix PERS. We have to fix PERS. We owe it to the people in Mississippi to have a stable retirement system. We have to fix PERS. And I think the Senate, from what I understand, had committed to a pay raise, as well as the House. We want to take care of our teachers. We want to take care of our assistant teachers. And but I want to see a lot more money in our classrooms. But I do see this moving forward. It should not go by the wayside just because school choice didn't make it.
And the difference, if I remember correctly, the Senate teacher pay raise was for $2,000. The one on the House side was for $5,000. It does bring up a question about spending, because there's a lot of new spending that has been approved in this session by the House in the neighborhood of a couple of $1 billion, and the income tax is being phased out. So there's a question there.
There is a question there. We have spent a lot of money, and I was one of those 17 that voted no. And spending is one of the issues. We have the income tax going away. We have to fix PERS. There's so many obligations that we already have. And as you know, yes, we handle more than one issue at a time. But when you go through the process, a lot of these big funding items, it doesn't come down into the end to conference or, around that time that we find out exactly how much we're going to have. So it's kind of hard to pass a lot of this stuff not knowing at the end of the day how much money you're going to have. But we have spent a lot of money, and it does concern me.
If I remember correctly, the $600 million that was going to be directed of PERS, that would be from CapEx funds. So that would be a one-time expenditure, not an ongoing expenditure, right?
I think that's correct.
Now, there may be an ongoing expenditure to continue to address the problem, but
yes.
the $600 million is a one-time throw this at the big shortfall.
Correct.
We'll continue with Stacey Hobgood-Wilkes from District 108 on the other side of this timeout. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass Trap.
Start your day right.
Good morning, America. How are you? Honestly, I have no idea.
Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Stacey Hobgood-Wilkes is my guest. She represents District 108 in the House of Representatives. That's Pearl River County, including Picayune and Poplarville and other communities in that part of the state of Mississippi. And certainly appreciate your time this morning.
Glad to be here.
The bill that came from the Senate that was allocating money for storm relief post-winter storm a month or so ago, that paused initially, and there was a lot of conversation as to how that money should be administered. I think the Senate had it going to MEMA. There was some thought that within the House it needed to go to municipalities and counties specifically instead of being administered through MEMA. Where is that?
You know, to be honest, I cannot even tell you where that bill is right now.
Okay.
We end committee meetings today. We go to the floor tomorrow. So I would assume that if it's a Senate bill, we'll be taking it up on the House floor. If it was was that a House bill or Senate bill? Because I think we had one.
It was a Senate bill that came over that was approved for $12 million.
Okay.
I think that's right.
So I'm not sure if that's going to go to. I'm sure that one will probably go to conference, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm not sure. We have seen so many bills this session and so many big ticket items that it's hard to keep track of all of them, to be honest.
Yeah, I understand that. What about in your committee, the Constitution Vice Chair there? Anything that is still alive? That is, am I right, or did I?
No, that's an old committee.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm not a vice chairman anymore. I was stripped of my chairmanship and all that a while back over PBMs. So,
should we talk about PBMs and where that is right now?
Let's talk about PBMs.
I have frequently said that I do not think that there is a professional group that is more passionate about their profession than pharmacists.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
My wife went to pharmacy school and was a pharmacist for a while before she moved on into kind of a different career path. And it's in a lot of ways a really complicated issue. But when you get down to it, owners of independent pharmacies are struggling, and patients seem to be the biggest victims in all of this with pricing on some of their drugs and the ability to get some of the drugs that they are needing. We've talked about it for a couple of years now, maybe longer than that, about PBM reform. Are we going to get there?
We have to get there. We need to get there. We've had, I think, 20 to 30 stores in Mississippi close over the last couple of years, and there was one that closed recently, like within the past month. So we owe it to these people. We owe it to the people in Mississippi, first of all, to try to lower their prescription medication, the cost of that, and also to make it easier to get those medications. And also, we owe it to these independent pharmacists who work in our communities, have gone to school, and give back to help them, because they're being put out of business by the big three PBMs who are using loopholes in the law, and they're just corrupt. And since when do we allow corruption like that to take place and put people out of business?
So there was a bill that was passed in the House this year for PBM reform, right? 1665?
Mm-hmm. It was, and I voted present on the bill actually because there were some good things in there that would help independent pharmacists, but there were also some things in there that would harm them or not really help them at all. And one of the biggest issues to me was there was nothing in there for a dispensing fee. So basically, the bill said that they could not lose money on a prescription, which that's the law already. That's happening now. There's nothing in the law for penalties to punish that, so they're doing it anyway. So as we see over and over, these independent pharmacies are going in the hole. But anyway, so this bill said that they could not go in the hole. It didn't say they had to allow them to make a profit. So what PBM is going to pay them more than they have to? What PBM is going to pay them more than allowing them to break even? And who can stay in business breaking even?
This bill did address spread pricing, right? Mm-hmm. And the reimbursement time frame, it had to be more timely. What was beneficial for independent pharmacies in that bill? Because we talked with an independent pharmacy owner and the chair of that association, or the CEO of that association, a couple of weeks ago, and they were kind of lukewarm on it. We're like, yeah, there's some good in here, but it doesn't go far enough.
Well, there's transparency, and it did address different things, but a lot of the language, the devil is in the details. I say that over and over and over. And a lot of the language allowed for more loopholes and things like that really isn't as impactful as what we need. So, and then, Trump has the Trump RX, but again, the problem with that is the same thing as with these other drug cards. By the time they get reimbursed for it, it's so far out that they're in the hole over and over and over waiting to be reimbursed for these medications. So the Trump RX really is not really a fix.
So we're down to 4 weeks left in this session. Are we about to go another year without
I hope not.
PBM reform in place?
It's in the Senate right now, and I'm hoping that they will amend the bill and fix it and make it good. And let me give a shout out to the Senate. The last couple of years, they've taken the lead on this, and they've sent the House good legislation that we should have concurred on instead of sent it to conference where it got watered down.
All right, so it is a good starting point. The fact that the House passed a bill, sent it over to the Senate, they've got a chance to tweak it a little bit and send it back, and then hopefully it becomes law.
Absolutely. So it's absolutely doable, and it's absolutely something that we need to do. Like, for example, and this is one of my things. Like, I know we tackle many things, but when you look at priorities, school choice, let's watch it play out in other states before we jump on.
Good morning.
Good morning to you there.
Okay, up and at 'em.
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
You can bet that I stand ready when the wolf growls at the door. Hey, I'm solid. Hey, I'm steady. Hey, I'm true down to the core. And I will always do my duty.
Welcome again, Mornings with Richard Cross on this Tuesday morning, the 3rd of March. Glad to be with you on Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, communitybank.net. It is easy to get ourselves into a place where we feel pride and our emotions swell, and we're very patriotic at the beginning of a military conflict or a war. And then we kind of go on about our lives, and we forget how much this can affect people locally who have friends, brothers, husbands, fathers who are serving half a world away. Trent Kelly is the 1st District Congressman here in the state of Mississippi. He, I think, probably knows that all too well. There's nothing glamorous, Mr. Congressman, about war, and yet so many times it is necessary. You have seen that up close and personally in your life, in your career. A general thought from you as we start on this conflict that we're dealing with in Iran right now.
Well, I think the president was well within his authority to strike. Iran has been a bad actor since the Ayatollah took over in 1979 or 80. And so, listen, they've been striking with the Houthis. They've been striking with Hezbollah all over in Palestine. And so, I mean, sometimes you just have to take out guys who consistently are bad actors, especially when they're trying to get a nuclear weapon. And you see they're striking civilian targets on purpose. So you see the kind of people that we're dealing with. So I'm glad that we struck first and took out some of the leadership. But it's not going to be easy, and there is a cost to freedom.
There certainly is. One of the things that seems to be debated online right now is what our munitions stockpile looks like. Obviously, the previous administration made lots of our weaponry available to Ukraine. We have been supplying Israel over the last few years. Are we in a good place in your mind? And I'm not necessarily asking for exact numbers in terms of the munitions that we have available to sustain the level of attack that has happened for the first few days of this conflict?
Yeah, I think our stockpiles are fine for an extended period of time. The problem is the production base to build those things, which is what some of the things that we worked on this last NDA and working on this one, is not that we don't have the stockpiles now, but it's the replenishing of those stockpiles when you expend them. And so we're going to have to ramp up production here in the United States to make sure that we replenish these stocks once we've expended them.
There's been a focus in the state of Mississippi on contracts with companies that are working with defense firms that are working directly with the military. Is that something that makes sense in our home state as we continue to kind of go down this road of advanced manufacturing and defense-related contractors?
Oh, absolutely. Mississippi is full of contractors, both large and small, who build pieces and components and actually whole systems that the United States military uses. And so we need to continue to invest in them. Some of the problem is the startups or small businesses. We've got to make sure that we're giving them long-term signals so that they can build out to the capacity, because it's hard to make capital investments when you don't have the certainty of knowing that that product is going to be there 2 or 3 years from now, especially if you're a startup company. The big primes can take that loss, but these startups cannot.
Congressman Trent Kelly is my guest. He represents Mississippi's 1st District. You spent time in Iraq during Operation Desert Storm as a second lieutenant. You know, it's striking to me as we watch the coverage of this war in Iran, how much things have changed in the last 20 years in terms of war fighting and the way this looks, especially with the development and the massive technological upgrades that drones have had. As you watch this unfold, do you think back to your time from 20 years ago when you were on the ground in Iraq and how different things are?
Well, I do a little bit. You know, the Iranians were there. You know, many of the casualties we took in 2005 and 9 and 10 were the Iranian weapons that they were pushing over the same bad actors. But, you know, I think what's important to understand is the president took out their ballistic missile systems. You know, drones are a local or regional at best, the ones that they have. We have some that are longer range. But we took out their ballistic missile capability, the ability to reach longer distances in our bases. We also took out their air defenses. So, I mean, we literally have air superiority in day 3. Think about the Russian invasion of Ukraine. They never got air superiority, and here we are 48, 72 hours in, and we already have established air superiority by taking out the air defenses. So I think our leadership understood, Raising Kane, General Kane, the chairman, I think they understood what they had to do to make it a more permissive environment for us to continue to go after their deep threat weapons.
And Congressman, I'm glad you said that. You say air superiority, which basically gives us the ability to fly where we want, when we want, without being worried about our aircraft taking fire from the ground.
No,
or is that not right?
It means we have the ability, but we still have to worry. I mean, there's still risk out there. It's just not as great. We have a whole lot more freedom of movement.
What about the fact that we were also able to take out the entire Iranian Navy in 3 days?
Well, they didn't have much of a Navy to start with, but our sailors on those ships, listen, what that does is keep them from threatening our Navy, threatening our carriers, our bigger things. And, you know, and this reminds me a lot of the initial invasion of Iraq when they were talking about they defeated the American forces and we weren't in Baghdad. Bullets are rattling and American soldiers are showing up in the camera. Iran, you know, they said they sunk a carrier, they did this. Listen, these people do nothing but lie. They're trying to save face with their people because hopefully the people will come and take over that government. The Iranian people are good people. The leadership is horrible.
In terms of war strategy, I understand that Iran was backed into a corner and they don't appear to have many friends right now. And the friends that they may have had, even if they were just kind of friends on the side, they have shot missiles at all of the surrounding states. What do you see any strategy that was there in terms of the way that they reacted to being attacked?
Well, I mean, if you go back, like they attacked Saudi Arabia, but they've been attacking Saudi Arabia for 10 years with the Houthis. So they've been using their proxies. This war has been going on, not just with Israel, but also their Arab neighbors. The Iranians are not Arabs, they're Persians. And so they have constantly been at war through proxies with all of these folks. So it did not surprise me when they struck at their Arab neighbors, who are not necessarily their friends, who they think are infidels like us, just not as bad as us.
Yeah. Visiting with Congressman Trent Kelly, represents the 1st District of Mississippi, served multiple tours in Iraq and the Desert Storm conflicts as well. We have been... I'm sorry, go ahead, Congressman.
I do want to say, listen, we've already lost at least 6 American lives that we know of.
Yes, sir.
And those are precious, each and every one. And I just want everyone to know that there's a cost to war and there's a cost to freedom, but we honor those families and those brave warriors who sustained to combat injuries and death. And I just want to remember those folks.
That's well said, and I appreciate you doing that. Where I was going was, we have proven time and time again that in terms of tactical strikes and just initial shock and awe, to use a term from years ago, we're really, really good at that. We have not been good at nation building. We end up being there too long, and it's too prolonged, and it's not always what a host country wants. The president has said that's not what we're doing here. This is not going to be long and drawn out. How much confidence do you have in our ability not to find ourselves trying to rebuild the nation of Iran?
Listen, we never say we won't send in ground troops. I hope that if we do, it'll be a minimal number. We do not need to rebuild Iran. We don't need to make the mistakes we made in Iraq and Afghanistan. You kill the bad guys. You get out of there. You leave them to build their own. I have high confidence that the president doesn't have the appetite to send in ground troops unless absolutely necessary to achieve military objectives. I do not see him trying to rebuild Iran into anything. So I have high confidence that the president is going to use the minimal force necessary, including ground troops, to achieve the military objectives, and he's not worried about nation building.
And do we believe the people of Iran have the ability on the backside of us setting the table for them to take their country back over?
I mean, I don't know. When you've never had a democracy, it's hard to have a democracy. It's hard to understand. The second level of leadership, much like we're seeing in Venezuela and we see they're just as corrupt as the people at the top. But I think that they do. I think they have to have help, but I think that help comes in terms of diplomacy and giving them assets and the ability and the tools to do that, not troops on the ground.
Congressman Trent Kelly, always appreciate your time. It's great catching up with you, and appreciate you making some time for us this morning.
Have a great day.
We'll talk soon. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi, presented by Community Bank. We're back with you right after this.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
Wake up! Rise and shine!
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross.
Nice early morning surprise.
On SuperTalk Mississippi.
He gets off on country music, 'cause disco left him cold. And he's got young friends and a new wave, but he's just too friggin' old. And he dreams at night of Woodstock and the day John Lennon died. How the music made him happy and the silence made him cry. Yeah, he thinks of John sometimes. And he
appreciate you being with us. News out of Iran. I'm going to skip on last names today and just go with first names because it's not like you know these people anyway. And they're kind of being wiped off quickly. General Aziz was killed in the opening strikes on February 28th. He was Iran's defense minister. They replaced him with General Majid, the acting replacement. He has now also been wiped off the board.
They didn't even have enough time to get a deck of playing cards built for this one.
I'm guessing they didn't get the new insignia on his uniform.
Yeah. I was joking with you earlier. I mean, these guys are going to start wearing like the Groucho Marx glasses and mustaches around like, yeah, I don't want that job. Trying to blend in with the wallpaper.
I saw this a little while ago. To your point, Lance, although far more, what's the word that I'm looking for? Well, I'll just read you the post. Iranian opposition channels report that over the past 24 hours, the IRGC and Basij have been turning schools, mosques, and hospitals into their bases.
I mean, what's
far
new?
More sinister is the word that I was looking for. Well, they are abandoning their own headquarters due to widespread strikes on Basij's camps and police stations and relocating to civilian sites using the same tactics as their proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, and other terrorist groups. By doing so, the IRGC and Basij endanger civilians and effectively turn them into human shields.
Well, that's something that they're very good at and generally love to bury weapons, have big weapons dumps underneath schools and hospitals and things of that nature. So
it's far more sinister than putting on a Groucho Marx costume.
Yes, sir.
This is not Davy Johnson in the Mets dugout after being ejected from a ball game. This is, they know where we are. Let's go to a place where they are going to be reticent to attack because it says school, hospital, or church.
Yep.
Sorry, mosque on the door.
They got some churches over there, too. But yeah, mosques.
Problem is our ability to track their movement and Israel and Mossad's ability to track the movement of these leaders and these fighters is... It's scary how good it is.
Well, that and I mean when you knock out their Timu Navy in a couple of days, I mean you can't. Yeah, I mean they ordered that thing from China. So at the end of the day, though, I mean anybody in the position of power there has to be looking over their shoulder constantly.
Did it come with instructions that said some assembly required?
Put the cork right here.
I probably didn't have time to go into this the way I was setting it up with Congressman Kelly just a moment ago. And by the way, what an incredible man.
Oh, isn't he?
Not only serving with honor as a congressman representing the 1st District of Mississippi, but a major general in the Mississippi Army National Guard, a veteran of the Gulf War and the Iraq War, Legion of Merit, 2 Bronze Stars, combat action badge as well. I mean, just as all-American gets. And we are fortunate to have him as one of the representatives of the state of Mississippi in Congress. If you dig far enough, you can probably find some connection. And I don't actually have to dig very far. I've got a pretty close friend whose brother is not serving in the military. His brother works for an energy company and is on assignment in the Middle East. A multi-year assignment. But it was an opportunity that made too much sense for his family to pass up. It was kind of an adventure for the whole family went. And so they are living in the UAE. And he has co-workers that are in other Gulf countries. One in particular in Bahrain. I mean, we've been getting videos through this friend of drones flying into buildings in Bahrain that he's videoing from the balcony of his own condo. I mean, this stuff is real. And it's to the point now where this family that I know and have spent time with before, just a few months ago, actually, now is about to jump in a convoy with a security escort and drive 24 hours in a car to try to get to a place where they can get on a plane and get to safety. And that's as real as it gets. And so I say that to say, when you're offering up a prayer for safety, for courage, for our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, include the people who have nothing to do with the war that are just there. Made a lot of fun of Keir Starmer's just wishy-washy statement yesterday, and he got obliterated in Parliament for his stance.
Buddy, that is a hootin' and hollering festival, too.
Man, that is something to watch. You just need some entertainment late one night, like you're trying to stay awake. Pull up Parliament and watch that for about half an hour.
Good Lord.
You'll be rolling.
Yeah, I mean, it's hilarious.
But include those people. The point that I was going to make about Keir Starmer was, he was like, oh, we've got about 200,000 Brits that are in the Gulf states, that are in the Gulf region. And we're actually going to allow the Americans to use our air bases so that they can help protect our people. It can't just be for a noble cause. It's got to be about us. And that's where they are.
Got to protect the time for tea, man.
Yeah. I cannot imagine that the Democrats were hoping for this outcome when Bill Clinton sat down to testify for the committee. I don't imagine there was any Democrat that hoped that this was going to come out of Bill Clinton's mouth.
I hate this, but because I don't believe I should inject anything. But I do not want to leave the impression, but since there was no follow-up question, the president never, this is 20-something years ago, never said anything to me to make me think he was involved in anything improper with regard to Epstein either. He just didn't. That's the truth. As I said earlier, the only conversation I had with President Trump about this was in the early 2000s. And I have no information that he did anything wrong.
That was Bill Clinton in that committee hearing, Friday, I guess it was. And they've released the video transcript from GOP oversight. You are reminded, even though he is aged and maybe has lost a mile or two on his fastball, you are reminded of how good Bill Clinton was, answering questions, deflecting, giving the all shucks feeling to it. And what a stark contrast to Hillary banging the table, appearing angry, being combative with the questions. She and Nancy Mace got into it big time during the hearing. But I just cannot imagine that there is a Democrat who was hopeful going into this that Bill Clinton was going to say, look, I just want you to know I'm going to interject here since you didn't ask about it. You didn't follow up. The president has never said anything to me to make me think he was involved on anything to Epstein. He just didn't. As I said earlier, the only conversation I had with President Trump about this was early 2000s. No information that he did anything wrong. And pretty well documented that early 2000s is when Trump first reported Epstein and was the initial whistleblower on this guy is a problem, law enforcement, you need to get on him. Not what Dems were hoping with the whole release the files conversation. We're back with you right after this.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Here we go. Now back to Mornings with Richard Cross.
Now that's entertainment.
Good to be with you this morning. It is Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm and SuperTalk TV. I want to play this for you from about 20 minutes ago on Fox News. Trey Yingst is their chief foreign correspondent. He has been reporting from Israel in the middle of a report about a bomb site that has that struck a particular neighborhood in Israel. He changes course about a report that he just received. Take a listen.
The scene of one of these cluster munition impacts just outside of Tel Aviv, but I'm told by a senior Israeli official that the Israelis just struck the Supreme Council gathering where the Iranians were meeting to choose a new supreme leader. This is a significant development and again speaks to the Israeli intelligence about this war. They just targeted the meeting in Tehran where what's left of the leadership was gathering to choose a new supreme leader. The Iranians are continuing their attacks against Israel. Right now we are in the community of Bnei Brak. It's a religious community outside of Tel Aviv. And you can see where the police and first responders to the scene.
That's Trey Yingst reporting from Fox News.
Ooh, I guess the good and the bad and the ugly song was the right choice.
My goodness.
I mean, even the goats are running over there, man.
I mean, think about that. So President Trump said that they had allotted 4 weeks to take out the leadership of the Iranian regime. It happened in 48 hours, or it happened in 40 minutes. I mean, it was immediate. Leadership wiped out. And so there's a pecking order, right? So they're backups and third stringers and fourth stringers for all these positions. And so these people start sliding into roles in interim type spots, and they're getting picked off as fast as they can get a new title. They certainly don't have time to have business cards made.
Hey, quick prints. They're very quick,
Not that quick, Lance.
No, that's what I'm saying. They're quick, but they ain't keeping up with that workload.
They don't even have time to enter the credit card information in the payment after they fill out the online form. Before, boom, they're gone. And now you have what is left of the regime leadership coming together for the Supreme Council gathering. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. Remember, I don't know if there are 82 of them left or not, but there were 82 people that had to come in and vote on who the new supreme leader was going to be. So the Supreme Council gathering was meeting in Tehran today. What did Israel do? They had the info. They bombed the meeting.
Maybe they have somebody on the inside of that.
You think? That is, man, there is so much content from people that present their content in a way that it sounds very, very efficient and knowledgeable. I recognize that not all of it is. That's available on X right now. But it's like on the For You feed of my X account, because I've read so much stuff about Iran it's feeding me more of it. I don't know that all of it is credible. But there was a really interesting story that I read that was comparing Israel's approach to long-term espionage and doing the dirty work and not caring about who gets the credit in terms of long-term protection and investment. And it was contrasting that to India, which is this massive growing nation that has not had the patience or the wherewithal or the willingness to invest in national security, in a big military, in the weapons necessary, in the intelligence gathering, and the intelligence placement. But the thing that is, as this continues, I mean, you think about the beeper bombings with Hezbollah that was put in place by Mossad. That doesn't happen without embeds, without members of Mossad who are embedded in Hezbollah. The accuracy of these bombings and the whereabouts of Iranian leadership doesn't happen if there's not somebody on the inside. I don't care how good your satellite imagery is. You can't do it all. Not all the time. And then the dirty work part of it is you have to be willing to have your valuable assets at times pay the ultimate price. Because you can't just have one guy that has worked his way into the leadership structure that just so happens to avoid getting his head blown off every time everybody else gets their head blown off. That becomes suspicious after a time. People wonder sometimes why the relationship between Israel and the United States exists the way that it exists. And I understand that there are anti-Israel people. I understand that there are people, we saw it on our own text line yesterday. Oh, we're just doing the bidding of Israel. We attacked them because Israel told us to attack them. There's more to it than that. It's the two greatest intelligence gathering organizations on the planet that have teamed up. Mossad and the CIA. Israel does not have the military might of the United States, but frankly, as good as the intelligence gathering apparatus is for the United States, it pales in comparison to Mossad and what not only they are capable of, but what they are willing to do, the lengths to which they are willing to go to protect their country. And the truth of the matter is they have no choice. Amanda in Pike County says they should have done a Zoom call. Ha! Go Israel. Bill in Oxford, Richard, the Mossad hacked the street cameras in Tehran and knew the coming and goings of all leadership in Tehran. Yes. And Bill, that had been going on for years. For years.
Yeah, and their network of intelligence goes back way back. I mean, long before World War II. I mean, they have an amazing communications network that has served them very well for a couple of millennia or so. But then again, fine-tuning that with going after all the Nazis and Germans that had killed so many of their people after World War II that were hiding all over the world. So Mossad really, ramped up there and showed you that they're capable of finding anyone, anywhere, anytime. With technology now, I mean, their ability is unlimited.
Yeah. Thomas, I'm not sure what you're trying to tell me with a screenshot of the Dow at the open today. I mean, the fact that it's down 800 points in opening trading within 30 minutes of the opening bell, am I supposed to panic about that? Dow's at 48,000. It's been over 50,000 multiple times. It's set 50 new intraday records in the last year. If you're worried about the daily comings and goings, rising and falling of the stock market, you're going to drive yourself crazy. And if you think a snapshot in time of the Dow being up or down is telling of what the market is doing, and by the way, the market and the economy are not the same thing, you're not as smart as I've given you credit for. But I know you're that smart. You just like to grab things to try to make a point. I just don't know what point you're trying to make right now. I'm hoping you will explain it to me. Going back to the Bill Clinton stuff, Walter in Tupelo, makes you wonder why so many Republicans had become against releasing the files after campaigning on it for years. For some, it may be as simple as the Democrats were for it, so they became against it. In the same way that when the Republicans were for releasing it, the Democrats were against it. Some of it has to do with Israel, probably. We're never going to know the depths to which Epstein and Ghislaine's father and others were tied to Israel and Mossad. But I just talked to you a second ago about the depths and the ugliness to which the Israelis are willing to engage to get the information they need. If they were behind Epstein Island, would you be shocked by that? I wouldn't. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying wherever you can stretch your mind of, are they willing to do this? The answer is yes, wherever it is.
From the Venable Glass Trap.
It's time to switch on.
Mornings with Richard Cross. On Super Talk, Mississippi.
Yeah!
Well, I used to wake the morning before the rooster crowed, searching for soda bottles to get myself some dough. Run 'em down to the corner, down to the country store, cash 'em in and give my money to a man named Curtis Lowe.
Last time with you, it's Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi. Appreciate you being with us. The show every day, presented by Community Bank. At Community Bank, we're more than just a place to manage your money. We're your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors. We're dedicated to our customers, committed to your success, and always here when you need us. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC. Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, yesterday met with the media and outlined the Iran operation. No pomp, no circumstance, just the facts, Jack. The entire conversation was about 12 minutes long. I would encourage you to watch it in its entirety. I don't think you want to just trust the snippets that you see of this, because sometimes they can be taken out of context. And the answers to his answers to the questions and what he laid out kind of built one topic on the next. But I will try to summarize and give you some takeaways. This was Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Iran producing 100-plus ballistic missiles per month and thousands of one-way attack drones, aiming to build a retaliatory shield that would make its nuclear program untouchable. Iran is, or was, perhaps we should say, approaching a point of immunity within 1 to 1.5 years, where its missiles and drone stockpiles would deter any strike from any country. Sanctions against Iran have failed to stop their weapons buildup. Remember the selling the oil on the black market with ghost tankers? The operation was timed while Iran is weakened and before it reaches that immunity threshold. U.S. intelligence assessed Iran would immediately retaliate against U.S. forces, so preemptive action reduced potential American casualties. The mission focus for the United States is destroying ballistic missile launchers, stockpiles, drone capabilities, and naval assets threatening global shipping. No ground invasion is planned. Air and missile strikes are sufficient for the objectives. Although you did hear General Kelly, Congressman Kelly, earlier this morning say, we would never say no boots on the ground, but we are all hopeful that if there are, that is minimal with a finite timeline. Regime change is not the official goal, but the U.S. would welcome the Iranian people replacing the current leadership. Congress was notified through the Gang of Eight and in compliance with the 48-hour war powers reporting requirement. He also noted that no president, Republican or Democrat, has agreed with the constitutionality of the War Powers Act. The U.S. denies targeting civilians and says any alleged incidents are under investigation. Iran controls roughly 20% of global energy flows via the Strait of Hormuz. Mitigation plans are being prepared to stabilize markets. And finally, no active diplomacy is underway. Operations will continue as long as necessary with no fixed end date. It's kind of a summary of what Marco Rubio had to say yesterday in answers to questions. By the way, there was reporting yesterday that Iran, through Oman, had reached out to engage in some talks about a ceasefire or diplomacy efforts. I think Marco Rubio would know about that. He said no diplomacy efforts underway, and Iran sent a missile into Oman today, which seems like a bad idea if you want them to mediate. If you're in the market for a new or previously owned vehicle, let me tell you about my friends at Belk Ford and Oxford at Toyota. They're located on Highway 6 West in Oxford. Great selection on the lot. Good financing available right now. And if you had a total loss because of the winter storm just a month ago, as declared by your insurance company, then you are eligible for employee pricing through Ford, which means thousands upon thousands of dollars off the sticker price. Reach out to them. Talk to them about your needs. You're not going to find pushy salespeople. They're going to listen to you. They're going to help you find the vehicle that you want at the price that you can afford with the best financing options available. Let them know you heard about them on SuperTalk Mississippi from me. I would appreciate that very much. BelkFord.net, OxfordToyota.com, Highway 6 West in Oxford. We did not have enough time to get to everything, but I appreciate you being with us. We'll do it again tomorrow morning just after 6. For Lance, I'm Richard. This is MRC.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.